What is happening, my block buddies? Wow, this is it. We have a little bit more from Lara Kate Dale. In the last Switch video, we talked about that awesome Reddit thread where there was so much to discuss about what Lara Kate Dale has leaked about the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo's new console, and Lara Kate Dale, this journalist, this Let's Play Videogames.com journalist, is just leaking things left and right. So we are going in for some more questions. Now, this is from a Reddit thread. Take this with a grain of salt, but a big grain of salt, right? Because, things could pan out one way or the other. But in this thread, she didn't ask me anything, and there is a lot of interesting stuff. So, Lara Kate Dale talks about Mother 3, which is, of course, the Earthbound franchise. I've heard a rumor for a Mother 3 coming to the Switch Virtual Console. Wow. Just like Emily, it seems to be a project that continuously comes to me from reputable sources with a strong track record but never materializes. I am genuinely fascinated by why I keep hearing about it but it never happens. It's the eternal phantom rumor. Phantom rumor, that sounds like a cool game title, right guys? Anyway, someone called Zach Khalid asks, heard something about the advanced vibration thing that makes you feel weight, textures, and gravity. Is it coming for the Switch, as the patent suggests? Wow, that's an awesome patent. So you can really feel things. That's amazing. Lara Kate Dale says, I talked about advanced vibration back in August, and the recent patent suggests it's still a feature. I've got no reason right now to believe that it's happening. Not to believe that it's happening. So, wow, something like advanced vibration, something where you can feel weight in the controller, where you can feel textures and gravity, that'd be amazing because, just thinking about a Metroid game, right? All those things could change the way you play that game and experience that game so much. That'd be amazing. Wow. Okay, so Indie Catapult asks, hi there, and Cool Ask Me Anything, by the way. Question. These leaks, are they officially sanctioned by Nintendo, or is it something that you scooped as a journalist? Either way, how do you handle the situation that you find yourself in between the IP holder and your need to publish as a journalist? Any ethical considerations that stop you or encourage you to publish? Pressure from maybe Nintendo or your sites? Thanks. It's a weird question because, of course, it's not officially sanctioned by Nintendo. So, Lara Kate Dale says, gosh, no, I wish Nintendo were feeding me info deliberately, but they might actually like me enough to give me a review unit if that were the case. But, it seems like they don't really like Lara Kate Dale for leaking all this, and I understand why. Nintendo have never actually come and told me to pull a story that I can think of. Sony either, when I leaked Rush of Blood and reviewed the PS4 Slim early. I keep expecting it, but the men in suits never appear. So, Lara Kate Dale, I'm still happy for you. Hopefully they never do, right? Got a thinly veiled legal threat from Game when I wrote about pricing info. I shared their email and they backed the hell down. Most of the time, legal threats are thrown at journalists to try and scare them into complying. I know a lawyer who looks this stuff over, and he usually tells me that they have no leg to stand on. Smart having your lawyer. So, Andis One asks, hey Lara, can you tell us a little bit about why you chose game journalism as a career? Also, and more importantly, do you consider a hot dog to be a type of sandwich? This question could have been addressed to me because I think a hot dog is a type of sandwich. I truly believe that a hot dog and a chili dog, definitely a chili dog. I think a chili dog for sure, a chili dog. Chili dogs are sandwiches. We go on. Lara Kate Dale says, I got into it because working in a supermarket with no qualifications was killing me with a lack of mental stimulation, and I love talking about video games. And she says, nope, a sandwich has two different pieces of bread. One flat on top and one flat on bottom. I don't agree. Lara Kate Dale, that is not the sandwich leak we're talking about here. So, there is another person who asked, will the Switch have Bluetooth capabilities to connect, for example, to wireless headphones? I have heard about Bluetooth support, but no idea if that is for specific applications like headphones or just the tech for the wireless controller the tech is based on. Wheezy Bob asks, do you think that the Switch will look genuinely attractive to third-party developers? And Lara Kate Dale says, I think is exciting. I think it's exciting consumers, and that excitement is attractive to developers who remember the Wii's overnight success. Yeah, that's a really cool way to put it, right? Because the Wii's big success was the reason that people really wanted to make games for it. So, Eru Fox asks, based on what you've seen and heard about the Switch, do you think it is going to replace the 3DS? Arcade Dill says, I think it's a third pillar system the way the DS was. If it sells well in the first 6 to 12 months, the 3DS likely dies off. Wow, that's amazing to me. Nintendo is so, saying that, the 3DS and the Wii U will live on. I've always said here on Block Content that will not be the case, and Larcade Deal seems to, verify that, but still saying, maybe after a year or something. So, Evie Liam says, Laura, hey, so what's your favorite Super Smash Bros. Character, and also where do you get these leaks? We need to know, thanks. Larcade Deal says, Ike. I get all the leaks from various places. Sometimes it's people in development who are fans of my long-form work who reach out looking to help me out. Sometimes it's annoyed folk wanting to get info out due to annoyance at PR plans. Sometimes it's people I meet at networking events and stay in touch with afterwards. It wildly varies. A lot of the August leaks comes from me, and that came from a small network of people in development who are fans of other long-form content I create who wanted to see me succeed. So that's really nice. Everyone is helping each other out, and Larcade Dill is having a good time. And the next question comes from NLD. Hi, first of all, I have to say congratulations for your work and for make the life of people like me hungry for video game info better. I have some questions for you. 1. What is your estimation about the battery life? I initially heard 3 hours max battery, no clue if that's full clock or portable clock speed. I've heard longer estimates since, which would lead me to suspect 3 hours is if you play a game fully docked but not connected to power, which is doable at the very least with developer kits. I suspect, about hardware sacrifices, that it's going from ultra to high to medium on a PC. A little less of everything, but the same core experiences. So, I've heard it's something new, the Monolith game. It's not the Xenoblade X Switch port, and it's in the same vein as Xenoblade and X in terms of combat style. So a new game from Monolith Soft, that's pretty interesting. So Monolith Soft is working on something new that is not Xenoblade, but is sort of like Xenoblade. Kind of, reminds me of the whole hype around X, right? So, Arcane Arco says, have you heard anything about Miiverse returning? Also, do you think our Nintendo Switch Miis, I'm guessing they will return, will be more customizable like a Miitomo? Lark Buzz says, so when I heard about the share button, location confirmed by reveal, function confirmed by patents, Miiverse was one of the locations for sharing screens and video to, my source listed. I've not had any reason to doubt the accuracy of that report. Awesome. I love Miis. I think Miis are amazing. I think Miis changed games and gaming as a whole because everyone was doing Miis then. And Nintendo did a great job with Miis, and I would love to see them in the new game. My Mii in Super Smash Bros. Is going to wipe the floor with your Mii in Smash Bros. So very soon, next year, we're going to do some very awesome Smash Bros. Streams. So if you want to play against me, bring it on. I've got my Mii ready. I don't know if that's tournament viable or anything, but I'm happy to fight you. So another one. Hi Lara, can you tell us if the Nintendo Switch is more powerful than the Wii U? There was a lot of bad buzz after Eurogamer report about clock speed. What do you think about that? Do you know if Nvidia is going to talk about specs or maybe Nintendo? Lara Kate Dale says, I 100% believe, even undocked, games will run better than they do on Wii U, which is a 720p resolution. I expect draw distance, physics, simulations, etc. to all be improved on Switch. So Arch Lynch says, Hi, Laura Kate Dill. Can you or your sources confirm for us that Switch has gone through multiple iterations of developer kits in reference to the Foxconn rumors? So Lara K. Dill says, like pretty much every game console, the Switch has gone through multiple dev kit iterations. There was one floating around in July, something of a lot of information specs have been based on. Another went out to bigger developers, in October. Some bigger indie developers are still working for the July developer kits. The October kit is more powerful overall than the July developer kit. I've seen, some more debunked by numerous folk from different developers. So not really anything too strict here. So another question. Hi, thanks for everything and tons of stuff on the subreddit to talk about in recent months. I hope your holiday was good. What is the one feature that you are most excited about? And then Larcade Dale says, I'm honestly excited for VR. I wrote back at Destructoid about how Nintendo could bring VR to the masses, and the Switch could legit be their chance to do that. Obscurica says, did you decide between that EU job and otherwise yet? I recall you mentioned it prior to the holidays, but forgot if there was a resolution. Larcade Deal says, turned down the London salary job offer. Leaks and reports would have been a big part of my job. I'd have to tone down the silly personal content. Wasn't happy with that trade-off, so staying on Patreon for now. So, another question from Awesome Saucer 9. That's the most perfect internet name. You just Awesome Saucer 9. It's like Awesome Sauce, but Awesome Saucer in a number. So, hi Lara, great to have you here and on the Discord. My question is this. In terms of what we can expect to see on January 12, are there any huge features still in the making? Is there a gigantic piece of the puzzle that we don't know yet? Or do we generally already know all the important factors about the Switch? Also, have you met or spoken to Emily Rogers? I'm just curious. So Larcade Dale says, I think folks have most of the major pieces of the puzzle, but you're going to be excited seeing it all come together cohesively. I speak to Emily Rogers regularly enough. We have compared sources, chatted about conflicts between our leaks, and just generally chatted. So I think we're going in for one last question for this video, and that is, do you know something about a new Metroid game? I know Retro are not working on one. So Retro Studios is now confirmed not to be working on the Metroid game, but if there is a Metroid game coming, and I think it will, who is going to be working on it? Is it still going to be Platinum Games? Or is it going to be someone else completely? Is the AAA Super Mario team maybe working on a Metroid game? Anything right now is possible. They might get, they have so many cool partners that they're working with for the Switch. Getting one of them to work on Metroid would be amazing. I am still so excited for a Metroid game. I hope you guys are also excited. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to this awesome Larcade Deal Reddit kind of, ask me anything thing. I kind of pick out the things that give you the most Switch info. I hope you guys liked it. There's always more Switch news here on Block Content, so hit the subscribe button, and the next time we have a video up, it will be right there on your doorstep, right? Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys around the corner, where there is always more Nintendo Switch leaks and news. See ya.